Welcome to an all-new episode of MCR, the Marvel Cinematic Review. We are here to talk about episode 5 of She-Hulk, one of the funniest names you could possibly name an episode. Bravo to that entire team over there. You guys just continue to impress me week after week. We got a lot to discuss. Some Easter eggs people saw, some Easter eggs people did not see. We will break it all down here on an all-new episode, but before we jump into it, let me introduce the panel. Starting off with Trayvon. What's up, Trayvon?
Happy to be here. This was a fun episode. I had a great time. Titania's a trip.
I will say it does bring me joy seeing you and Jamie enjoying these episodes. Because I do curse y'all out in my head when you don't. So I like knowing that I don't have to worry about that. Next up, Didge. What's up, Didge?
Oh man, I'm excited to talk this episode. This series is giving me what I expected from it, so I'm liking that.
Absolutely. I mean, look, it's living up to everything it said it would be. The truest form of a comedy, fun,
Sitcoms are back.
Sitcoms are back. They are. I don't need any more in the MCU.
No. You definitely don't. No.
This is good. Yeah,
this is it. But sitcoms are back.
This is where we draw the line. But last but definitely not least, Blake. What's up, Blake?
Hey, I'm excited to get in the show. I haven't been on the She-Hulk streams in a while. But I have been enjoying the show. It's a nice change of pace, like you said, to just enjoy a sitcom. It's not like world-ending threats every episode. You're just there to have fun, and you move on to next week. So it's a really enjoyable show to just be like, oh, it's She-Hulk night. Watch that. And
100%. And it's one of those shows that like you could watch with like the kids, like everybody. It could be family night to watch She-Hulk.
Oh yeah.
It has that feel to where it's like it doesn't kind of exclude anybody because it's too dark or it's too adult or whatever the case may be. Yeah. I really do love it. I said this before, and I know we kind of went back and forth on this panel, but I do just want to know where am I going with this show? I never have an issue just having fun, but to me, you're part of a massive world. Right? I don't need like, oh, let me pigeonhole in an Avengers plot. No, I just want to know what about your story affects the larger scale of the MCU, whether it's a villain that we'll see down the line, whether it's a character being introduced we'll see down the line. Like what is, and obviously you can make an argument, it's Daredevil, but we saw him in Spider-Man. So this isn't even our first time seeing Daredevil. So for me, it's more so just like, what are you building towards? Because if by the time I get to the finale, all I can say is that I had fun, I will be disappointed. That to me is never enough. I just had fun.
The most frustrating thing is they planted a seed for where the story could be going in episode 3, and it's been 2 weeks and we haven't progressed since then. So
right, and again, I am very patient to allow it to expand itself, but I do want to know because like. Leaving a superhero product and only saying I had fun is something I attribute to Venom 1 and 2, right? Because it's like, I don't really know what that larger scale is that they're trying to build towards. So I don't ever need to think about it. It's like, whatever, I just had fun. They were entertaining, right? For things in the MCU, being entertaining is very important, but I need to know what you're building. You know what I'm saying? And if you're not, cool, cool. But I need to hear after the season's over when they do that little featurette, what was the whole scheme of everything afterwards. All right. Trayvon, I want to start off with you. This was your field. There was some pettiness. There was some, you know what I'm saying? There was some craziness, right? Titania was she was giving them vibes, right, Trayvon? She was giving them.
She was. Yeah. I was like, at the end of the last episode, I was like, oh, that is very petty. So basically, as she hit you against the wall, you said, oh hell no, trademark that day. We're gonna make a whole product, we're gonna make a whole commercial. She gonna see this shit, she gonna feel me.
Like, she got out of jail, was like, who was that who put me in jail? Who was that? Oh, what is that trademark? Okay, yeah. But let's fuck that up. Let's fuck all that
100%. No, her first thing was, I want to sue. And they're like, well, technically you attacked first. You can't sue. But You can take
She
her
was
name.
like, so
You
she
can take
got
her
a,
name.
is her name trademark? All right.
Yeah,
Get
let's
it.
take that.
Let's take
We'll
that.
take that. We'll take that. Whatever we can get. Let's do.
That's crazy. Like that is very petty. Like it's like, yep, you can't even use it. Don't use my name. That's mine. By Titania. By Titania. I was like, that's up. Oh, I thought that was really funny. I was like, that's good. It's good. And it was so funny when her brother was like, you know how trademarks work. I was
No,
like,
that was her. That was her cousin. That's her cousin.
okay.
Yeah, her cousin.
Well, I was like, she's a whole lawyer. I was like, you trying to tell her how
Him
trademarks
explaining
work?
it had me dying.
Well, the
And
funniest thing is, I've never. I think I've probably done it in my life. I think all men have done it without actually knowing they were doing it. But I've never seen mansplaining. So he did it. And I was just like, oh, that's what mansplaining. Because I'm like, he's speaking the law to a lawyer.
Right.
As if like she took that day off, right? Like she took the trademark claim day off and said, I didn't even know. Thank you, cousin. I had no idea. Like, bitch, I know. Like
it's so
now
funny
it's to
the way
figure
he
out how
said
to get
it,
it
too,
fixed.
He really, it's like he was like, you don't understand his words. Let me
Right.
sit down. Let me explain it. I'm like, what? And the way she turned and screamed, I understood. I felt that. I was like, yeah, I get it. Trust me,
It felt like such not only a man to woman thing, but it felt like such a family thing too. Like you could, I could see one of my little cousins doing that to me.
Right, 100%, 100%. But no, walk me through, Trayvon, your thoughts on this episode.
So okay, what is the lawyer with the shoes? What's his name?
Pug?
On this show?
Pug?
Yeah, Joel knows.
Pug. Yeah, when he came up to Nikki and said, yes, I remember that name. But when he came up to her and said, about the shoes, about staying in line, I was like, of course he would do this, of course. And I just, when they went there, and the guy was like, "This is a boba shop," and I was like, "Hold on," I was like, "Wait a minute, is it a boba shop?" I was like, "Y'all waste your time." But then we said, "Come to the back," and we opened that damn thing up, and I was like, "I don't think this is what they're looking for." I really love that after they bought it, they showed them in it.
Yeah,
I really loved that touch. I was like, "Yes, this is great." I'm glad y'all did just cut and they just get on their regular clothes. No, they put that shit on and they went to wherever they're going. And like I said, Edna Mode felt at the beginning. As soon as they started talking to this guy, I was like, oh yeah, this will be fun. Can't wait to actually beat this person. Because when he over there, I can still see you. That was so funny. I was like, this is great. It's so fun. It was just fun. And Titania was like, what's up, Shrek? And all that, like shit like that. I was like, this is fun, man. Like this is not what I thought I would see in the MCU, honestly, except for maybe Deadpool cracking jokes. I did not see this. I didn't know anything about She-Hulk. I didn't know she was just her character was like this anyway. Mm-hmm. But I do enjoy how do I say this? The way she handled her profile and the way she attacks having fun. With us, the way she put in her profile about the king size bed or whatever she said. That's energy. I like that. I enjoyed her for that. I feel really bad the way she had to win though, and had that guy come back again and reiterate that shit again. I was like, you are a dick.
I'm glad you said that, Trayvon, because what it looks like they're doing is they're completely breaking down Jen, right, to fully build up She-Hulk.
Yeah.
Because like I told you before in the comics, she just stays She-Hulk. Like it's just never an interest to be Walters, right? Like the human version of that. She's just She-Hulk. So it seems like what this show is doing is it's completely making her believe that She-Hulk is who she needs to be to go through life. Like there is no being Jennifer Walters. Like that's gone. You're now just She-Hulk every day. Like don't nobody know fucking Bruce Banner. You know the Hulk though, right? So I think it's different because Bruce had to take on all the negative sides of being a Hulk. So now he's viewed as a hero. So that it gives her the cushion to not be looked at as like, oh, I'm terrified of you, or you're a Hulk, I'm so scared, let's put her down. He cushioned the blow. So now I think it's cool to be a Hulk. So I think they're kind of catering it to where it's like, instead of she'll just never be like the human form again, it's just she just prefers to be in the essence of embracing She-Hulk.
I'm fine. Like, I'm fine with that. I just hope that when she decides to embrace the She-Hulk side more often, I really hope that guy's nowhere in the picture. Like, I just really hope she doesn't like run back to him and start and pick him up. Like, don't go back to that. It's just I just hate that for her. Like, if she does it, I'm like, he's a asshole. Let him stay wherever he's at. Like, I get down now. I understand because But anyway, but I'm just saying. But yes, leave him alone. Leave him. Well, don't get emotionally attached. You can still do stuff, but just emotionally attached. Don't do that. I just felt bad for her because I was like, this sucks.
I'm just saying, it looked like whatever happened that night before was life-changing for both of them. So I believe if she texts him, he's answering. He texts her, she's answering. I believe fine. They will have a very toxic relationship.
Beat his ass first, though.
He might like it, Trayvon. He might like it. That might not even get the result you're looking for. He might go, ooh. Okay, one more time.
Throw him through a wall, then. That'd be good.
He might even like that shit.
That'll make me feel better. That make me feel better.
He might be okay with all of that.
He might be on board with
and that's fine, but
every last one of them.
Beat him up first. I just need you to punch him, throw him through the wall.
Fair. That's fair.
Then I'm good. Yeah.
No, this episode, I will say, felt, even though I don't really think you can classify it as it, but I also don't mean it in a negative sense. Felt like a filler. It felt like a filler. It felt like the bridge to get you to the last half of all the episodes that will all matter, right? I'm not saying that this one didn't. I'm just saying it feels like they set the stage and shit's about to get real all the way through.
See, you say that, but I don't know I don't like. Okay, we know they tried to take her blood at one time, but they felt like goofballs. They didn't feel like a threat at all.
And
so
I would
like, so what's next for her? Like, who's coming?
I would have shrugged it off had they not gotten in the car and said, boss is going to be upset. That obviously means it's going to mean
somebody, but
right. If they didn't say that, then I would have said, okay, whatever. They were just meant to be funny. Cool, no problem. We move on. But that's going to build to something. And also, there were 2 clues of possible villains in this one episode. We did see Leapfrog in this episode, not dressed as Leapfrog. But we did see him picking up his Leapfrog suit in this episode. We did. So as She-Hulk walks in to the drip broker for the first time, the actor that's playing Leapfrog is walking out holding a bag with a suit as she's walking in. So clearly he just got his suit made.
Notice.
Oh, 100%. It's a blink and it completely didn't notice somebody walked out. So he walked out. He just got his suit. Which I find very funny because it's the same day essentially Matt Murdock got his suit. So I am very curious how those two connect. To where Matt's like, you think you're the only one out here in these streets with suits? I got my shit. But that, and I also do believe that rich kind of geeky dude.
Todd.
Yes, thank you, Joel. I do believe there is a lot more to Todd. What that is, I'm not here to necessarily deep dive and speculate, but he's been giving too much screen time for somebody that was just
dialogue. You got more dialogue.
He has a lot of confidence.
It was interesting.
No, I'm sorry, Dij. I thought you were gonna finish. I'm sorry.
I was just thinking it was interesting. I was holding.
And think about it. All the questions he asked, we essentially saw the Wrecking Crew utilize, right? And that's why they were super shocked when the needle essentially just broke against her skin. They were just like, he will not be happy. Interesting. So I don't know if Todd's necessarily connected to them. But, Joel, we said it when me and you were talking the other day. We feel as though this show has to connect to whatever whatever Captain America New World Order is going to do, right? Right. So I'm like, could Todd be working for the leader? Because it would make sense that Todd's stupid enough to hire the Wrecking Crew. It does not make sense that the leader would hire the Wrecking Crew.
Sense.
You know what I'm saying? So I could see Todd being the point person And then Todd thinking, oh, these guys got Asgardian weapons. They'll be able to take her down. And it's like, oh, shit, it didn't work? Oh, fuck. Like, the real boss will not be happy about this. Mm-hmm. You know? Because it just seems like he's finding reasons to stay close. I guarantee you, whatever he hired that law firm for, he does not need that law firm for. It's just a way to stay close. So you can run into Jin here and there. You just set up drinks with her. Which, by the way, can I just say this? For me, that works every time. You bombard me, that works. I will always say yes. Does not mean I will follow through. Joel knows that. But I will 100% fold under pressure and say yes.
If somebody's right in your face, you're just like, yeah, sure. Especially if it's not right that second. 100%. Yeah, sure. And then you think of easily. Oh, man,
that's how people get me to donate. That's how people get me to donate. I have this fear of like, I guess like, you know, that interaction of saying no and then you kind of going, oh, you're a shitty person. So I'm like, yes. And then I'll prove I'm a shitty person when I don't do it later. But in the moment, yeah, I can't handle that. Blake, I want to go to you. What were your thoughts on this episode 5 of She-Hulk?
I enjoyed it, as I've enjoyed every episode. I agree with you when you say it's filler, though. It did seem like, okay, we're here to have some fun, but I want the story to start progressing in a certain direction, because in terms of the main character progressing, we're getting that every episode, like you said, with her realizing how much people like She-Hulk and kind of don't feel the same about Jennifer Walters, which is shitty to see every single time they go into that. So we're getting the conflict and the development with the character, but in terms of the story, every week I'm just kind of like, that was fun, but I have no idea kind of what the story is trying to tell me or where we're supposed to be headed. But given that exciting final scene, I think next week we should start seeing the goons, maybe not the Wrecking Crew, but goons come back, and Daredevil might be She-Hulk's inkling to there's a lot going on in your city that you're not aware of. Right. And that's probably when we're going to get the talk we saw in that trailer where she's like, well, I don't know if I want to be a superhero. And Daredevil's like, well, you should be, because you want to help people as a lawyer. You can do a lot more as She-Hulk when your day job doesn't really satisfy when it comes to keeping more people safe than it really is doing. So I'm enjoying the show, but I want more in terms of the story, and I want to see her fight more villains. She just got her super suit, so I know she'll see more action as the episodes go on.
Right, and like I said, for me, it's just it's seeing what the overarching thing is, right? Like if I get through this season and the end credit scene is the leader, to me, that's all worth it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But if you're telling me that all this was for me to just have a fun time before getting to something serious like Werewolf by Night or Black Panther, to me, that's not, no. In the MCU, no. Not at this point.
Yeah.
I need to know how it connects to bigger things. And it could be something small. I'm not saying you got to shoehorn in a main villain that's going to... No, but as long as it's an end credit scene, I'm fine. That's really all I'm asking for.
If they stick with the big setup in terms of end credit scenes and kind of throwaway lines like the boss isn't going to be happy, right, I think is where they want to stick, or else you have an Iron Man 2 problem, where you use that project to set up other stuff. Like, I don't want them to sacrifice She-Hulk as a character to set up Daredevil or to set up Captain America New World Order. Like, I think her show should stand on its own, and on the side, we get like, people kind of want her blood. I wonder what for. That project should explain it to me. They shouldn't use her story to give me the exposition for Captain America 4. So.
Right. Pretty much, which was, like, for example, I want She-Hulk to be what Black Panther was. Because remember, you did not know what the overarching plan was coming out of that movie till you got to the end credit scene, to where Bucky was like, what's going on? And it's like, we got to prepare for war. And you're like, oh, shit, Avengers. He's getting ready, right? That lets you know that was the connective tissue.
Or with Ragnarok. That end credit scene with Thanos' ship coming up. Imagine if that was halfway through the movie. Like, you see Thanos' ship go by. Like, that's an end credit moment.
Now, what you don't want any of these projects to be, and I'm not saying the movie was the issue, it's just how they structured it, it's Captain Marvel. Because you're introducing the character in an Avengers movie, you put in so much shit to kind of make her make sense. That it was like, well, you're kind of taking away from the natural progression of just introducing this character. Like, Joel, we say it all the time, and it's so funny. I talked to my dad today. He didn't even know that the motivation for Avengers came from the events in that movie. And when I told him, he was just like, I don't like that. And I was like, well, you didn't even know it. Picture watching it and going, what the what? Like, why did you shoehorn all this in here? Like, that's a lot to put on this one character. So you never want it to be that. So I want to make it very clear. I'm not saying I need more world building in the She-Hulk episodes. I just don't want to get to the end and they were just like, well, did you have fun? That's really all that matters. No. Like, where's the other shoe to drop? Like, I'm not here to just have fun. Where's the world building at? You know what I'm saying? So that's all I'm saying. I don't want people thinking I want Avengers in the episodes, and no, that's not what I'm saying at all. I'm not here just to have fun. You know what I'm saying? When I go bowling with family, I am there to win. I am not there to just you know what I'm saying? I don't do that. To me, that's a waste of time. But Joel, I'll go to you next, man. What were your thoughts on this episode 5?
Another good time. I really enjoyed it. I like the fact it is a lot. To me, it is a show that like lets you see how the superhero world exists around these characters. You don't get to really see it all that much,
right?
Because the focus is so much on the heroes. You get to see like heroes that almost out of their element in the public view, which is fun because it's just something that's unnatural for us to normally see.
Right.
And it happens more in She-Hulk because she's such a public figure, and I love how they used her dissatisfaction with the name She-Hulk against her for the most part, and the fact that she accepted it. And like the whole point was her accepting the name, and what she did on camera. But obviously, even that wasn't enough at the time because they had so much proof against her.
Right.
That using her dating profile and accepting the fact that they all went on a date with She-Hulk. Right. You know, and she did that, and I love that. I love that whole dynamic, and it was kind of weird. It just sucks because they basically tear the Jennifer Walters side of her down, which is sad. You know, like it's awkward.
But, especially because she's just sitting there, just like
accepting
to just take it.
Like, yeah, it sucks.
She's like, I need to win this case, so shit on me.
Yeah.
Bring it all in.
Yeah. But Titania is a very funny character, at the very least. She is. I think what they did with her is very clever because I like classically. This is definitely a very nice update for the character. A super influencer. Never would have guessed that, or even thought of that as an antagonist for the lawyer.
Same thing they did, Joel, with what's his name in Moon Knight. That was a very creative twist on a character we really don't give a fuck about, right? Well, so it's like
talk about upgrade.
Well, 100%, but it also but it also gave you a more modern take on what it would be, right? He was essentially like a cult leader.
Well,
we've had so many.
Is what he was. And
no. I mean, in the show, they essentially made him.
That's what it was. Yes.
Made him like a cult leader
for sure, a cult leader.
Yeah.
Right, and we've had so many through the history of our real world, right? So it was just interesting. It's like, yeah, if somebody in the real world today had that power, they would 1,000% start a cult. This is so believable, right? And now you look at Titania, and look, Trayvon told you with how happy he got. That's so realistic. That's probably exactly what Trayvon would do if Trayvon could. He would be a super influencer, is what he would. So it's like, I think everybody in today's generation would be, right? So it's like that was exactly. So it was a very welcome. And you know the crazier part? It seems like there were no consequences for her busting in the courtroom.
Yeah, really.
And trying to beat the shit out of people.
Let's assume that it was each week that we watched the episode was the weeks that she was in jail. She was in jail for 2 weeks. Like,
that was it.
She probably I'll post you on my Instagram.
Yeah, baby.
I mean, that's what it seems like. Yeah, so to me, I am 100% with you, Joel. This was a great twist for a character. I think even us that know the character, it's just what it was just like, well, whatever. But now you're expanding it to where it's like, if the character lives on, you're gonna have so much fun with Titania going forward in She-Hulk's life, right? There's so many things you could do with it.
She's a great rival. Yeah, I mean, I would love to know more about how she got her powers. That'd be interesting. We never got to that. I wonder if that's something they're holding on to. but she's great. Like what's her name? Jamila.
Yes.
So far, so good with that actress.
I will say this, Joel. What's going to be interesting is once we get to Leapfrog, right? What's going to be interesting is his leaping abilities suit enhanced, or is that an actual ability he has?
Because looks like he uses a rocket. I mean, if you see the trailer.
Oh yeah, to fly away. But I mean, to me, I kind of feel like you can't have Leapfrog if the motherfucker's not leaping from, his springs in his shoes. Oh man, please, Marvel, don't swerve us that much.
That would be bad. I wouldn't like that.
That would not be good at all.
I wouldn't either. That's why for me,
I don't know if it would be suit enhanced though, because if you look at he's carrying it looks like a regular
suit, right?
Like you would if you went to a tailor. So I don't know if it's
right.
I feel like you're thinking suit enhanced he would have like a box or something because you think that'd be a little bit more bulky.
You mean like tech based? Is he tech based?
No. When I said suit enhanced, Dej, I apologize. I meant more so like in the comics. It's I don't have to explain for you, but in the comics, his leaping ability was essentially just his shoes, just his springs in his shoes.
Well, yeah, I guess you wouldn't have that. You wouldn't have that with
that's
that.
What I'm saying.
Yeah.
I think the drip. I think the drip.
He just gave him
made
everything.
The suit.
Yeah, the actual suit.
Right.
The shoes
and Leapfrog made the shoes himself, or the leaping ability is a physical ability he has, and he just needs a suit to better protect himself with these large ass leaps he could be doing.
That makes sense. Yeah.
To me, if you're saying he has a rocket as like a last ditch effort, like to get away, I'm 100% fine with that. But if you're telling me his leaping is a
rocket, I gotta look at that.
It was sizable. It was sizable.
Yeah, but it doesn't look that big.
No, it was sizable enough to believe that what Joel's saying is a possibility.
Oh yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah, for sure.
Also, I take my statement back. This suit looks a lot more bulky in this picture than I thought would have fit in that bag. So
the Leapfrog suit.
I just think for me, like accepting Gore the God Butcher was fine because from a power standpoint, he was essentially the same. So I'm like, okay, fine. He doesn't look like Gore the God Butcher, fuck it. But like, he still has the power set to a degree of Gore the God Butcher. I could eat that, right? But for you to give me an accurate suit of Leapfrog, only to give me an inaccurate power set, is just like, what? Who sits in these rooms and just goes, how can we fuck with them today?
I think the rockets are in his shoes, so Joel might be right.
Maybe they look like coils.
if the rockets are in his shoes, I don't mind. That's fine. It's just the idea that the leaping ability has to come from his feet. That's all I'm saying. Whether it's turbo boosters, whatever, just don't let it be a jetpack.
I just put the picture I was looking at what makes me think that it might be in his shoes. It looks like he's sort of like they're coming from the bottom.
Yes. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah.
Yep. Oh, okay. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. You're absolutely right.
So it could be. I think you might also be right though in the fact that the shoes are probably what's causing him to leap, but at the end of the day, he can also fly with them.
Right, which again, to me, I'm fine as long as the essential leaping is there. I'm
right.
fine.
Yeah, I do think the leaping is probably. I think it's one of those things, like I said, where it does both.
Yeah, I think Froggy has electric coils in his boots in the comics, right? I will say this, Joel. How awesome would it be? I'm starting to think we won't get it anytime soon.
What's that?
But tell me you wouldn't freak out if the next episode... no, we wouldn't get it. It would have had to have been this episode. I was going to say how cool it would have been if Karen came to pick up the package. Yeah, came to pick up the package for Bat. That just would have been so fucked. Like, you just see a woman bend over, and then like you're like, who the fuck is that? And then when the camera pans up, you're like, oh yeah, fuck yeah, she's back.
Stop it. That's just getting my hopes up now.
Right? No. I'm not saying I think it's good because I'm realizing
that would have been
Jen came there. Yeah, Jen came there to pick up her suit, so we really have no realistic reason to go back to the drip.
What's funny though is people, myself included, have wondered: does Matt go to LA or does Jen go to New York? Obviously, Matt's in LA.
He comes to LA, right?
I think someone pointed out today. I can't believe I didn't even realize it. But in the Mark Waid run, the lighthearted Daredevil run, doesn't he live in San Francisco at the time?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. But again, to me, I'm fine with this as long as he remains in Hell's Kitchen. He could be here looking for.
By the time Born Again rolls around, he's going to be in Hell's Kitchen,
right,
regardless of what he's doing right now.
Because Blake, we know in the comics, Daredevil and Frogman, not Leapfrog, Daredevil and Frogman have a long history together. So if you're telling me that he's chasing him, but he's coming back home, I'm completely fine with it. Completely fine with it.
I'm sure that's the case. You know, he's gonna probably be the one to introduce Jen to this superheroes versus supervillains kind of world. So
right,
I can't wait for that potential. Bless you.
Thank you. No, and you know what I love the most? Oh, wait, Joel, did you want to add anything else from this episode before I go to Didge?
Not necessarily. I love the drip broker, or at least the idea of.
I said it before, Joel. The only broker I acknowledge is the drip broker. That's it. It's the drip broker sitting on the throne alone.
Because I know he called Alonzo the drip broker, but then they took him, and then that led to them going to the bubble shop, and the bubble shops led him to what's his name, Luke, whatever, and he's the one that's the tailor of of metahumans apparently, because if Leapfrog's getting a suit from him, so it's not just superheroes. He'd be suiting up villains too. So
right, and when he says high class, just so you guys out there know, whenever someone says high class, they don't mean like status. They just mean you have to have money. So because I know a lot of people are like, well, Leapfrog's not an Avenger or a superhero. No, that's not who he caters to.
Leapfrog clearly has money.
He got money. Because I know people are like, I'm confused. No, money. That's really what they meant. That's a nice way of saying like, oh, the elite status. No, just rich. Really, that's it. But what I love about it is, Didge, as I pass it to you, your favorite character, I do want to say what I had the most fun thinking about was the idea. Remember we said Saturday, we were saying like, I wonder why Matt decided to change the color of his suit, right? We were theorizing like, did he make the decision? Did the person who made his suit make the decision? I think we can now come to the conclusion. The drip broker said that all that black is
for sure.
Is not gonna work. And I think Daredevil was like, as long as it has some red, right? And he's like, well, I think I have a medium for you. Like I think we can meet in the middle here. I got some yellow, you want some red, I can blend the two. Because this does not seem like something Matt walked in there and said, hey, can I get yellow and red, please? So I like the idea that we can kind of wrap our heads around, because we may never hear it, right? But I do like the idea that we can kind of go, yeah, it's probably the drip broker who picked out the color. Probably. But Didge, walk me through your thoughts on this episode.
It was a fun episode. First, starting off with the name. The name is great. Like, the name of this episode is so funny. And it obviously it fit the theme of what the episode was. Right. I think, again, like I said at the jump, it's giving me what I wanted. It's that legal drama of the week. I do agree with you guys, hoping that it'll sort of start showing what is its true place in the MCU. So sort of starting to attach itself a little bit more. But in the meantime, I am having a lot of fun with it. Just seeing the day-to-day life of people, how they have to navigate around superpowered people,
right, is
really interesting. Like, I never would have thought before this about people who their entire shoe collection is based off of superhero shoes, because those are the celebrities of this world, which is hilarious. You know, him talking about, look, I only can buy one, so I need somebody with me. As someone who buys a lot of shoes and has friends who buys a lot of sneakers, you do have to do that sometimes. Yeah. You have to call your friends up and like, yo, I need you in line with me, because I might want to keep one, but I might want to resell one. You know, so it's interesting how they're bringing in the real world.
That's so funny.
And sort of MCU-fying it, I guess, superheroizing it, whatever you want to call it.
I mean, they essentially are telling you that Tony Stark is the Michael Jordan of
the MCU. Nobody else has multiple, as far as we know.
I mean,
as far as we know,
you gotta look at that. You gotta look at the picture with all the shoes and shit.
Oh yeah,
we were talking about that. Deadpool and
Green Goblin,
Doom.
I saw. Moon Knight had one. Cyclops.
Everybody. we were telling Trayvon,
Spoiler.
Joel, before we got on air, we were telling Trayvon that we do not believe that is necessarily canon. That was more so tongue in cheek
Yeah.
than
I
it was
agree.
for you to think Deadpool has some
Yeah,
shoes.
they
out
wouldn't
there.
make a Green Goblin shoe for numerous
That's what I
reasons.
said.
Right.
Well, I mean, if they did
Numerous.
make a Green Goblin shoe, I feel horrible for Peter Parker when he goes to the mall and he's just like, "Man, I need some new shoes. I busted it. What the fuck is that?"
That is the first thing that
Who
came to my
made
head.
these?
When I saw a Green Goblin shoe, I just pictured Peter in like a men's warehouse, and he's just like,
he just starts crying.
he's out.
But Trayvon you said it yourself because you thought to yourself like, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense. Having Green Goblin shoes when we don't have a Green Goblin tells you that that's not meant to be canon. It's meant to just be tongue in cheek. I really do think, Trayvon, what it comes down to is that Kevin told whoever the artist was, have fun. Go have fun. Go have fun. And the artist said, well, he didn't say how much fun.
It's just a drawing.
So here's the because Joel, to be fair to our audience, there are some of those courtroom pictures that are canon to She-Hulk in the episode and what's going on, and then there are some that are meant to be tongue in cheek, and there are some people who can't differentiate because to them they're like, well, if Deadpool's coming, why is it hard to believe that he has shoes? Well, it's hard to believe because we don't even know if Deadpool exists yet in the MCU, and you tell me he has shoes already. That means he's popular.
Right.
We ain't even see the motherfucker yet. You telling me he's popular out here?
Exactly.
I do
That's
think though
wild.
that it could be a little of both. Where somebody immediately is like, well, clearly, like you said, the Green Goblin ones, this isn't true. These aren't real shoes. But I do think that they threw in like the selection of who they chose was a little like, well, we're thinking about such and such.
Right,
We're thinking
right,
about
right.
these people. Just to let you know, like, yeah, we're thinking about them.
They're
but,
coming.
Yeah, they're coming. But
They're on their way.
they're not there already for sure.
Right.
But yeah, I really enjoyed that. It was a great reference. I love that whole little arc, and them going to the drip broker just kind of made me think about like what makes somebody think like, man, I gotta find that person for my like. When do you decide I need to go find my super suit? How do you come to that decision?
Well, I think probably what happened is there were probably higher end clients, like really higher end clients, and the word got out. And anyone who thinks that they have an ability or they need to protect their identity, they're now spending thousands to maybe millions to get some of these suits, right? So I think it probably starts off with just having a really big client. Who that client is, I can't wait to find out.
Right, that's what I'm
But
saying.
there
Like,
was a massive client that started it.
Because that's a
that
funny
they
thing
went
to
from
me.
I mean, look, I wouldn't say it's out of the realm of possibility. Again, it's in a completely different state than where we know him to be. I'd be shocked if Kingpin found out about the drip broker. Threw some money down, get some tailored
them
suits.
Being in a different state means nothing. Anybody knows people who have enough money, they'll travel for their suit,
If they
their dress,
really
whatever.
100%.
wanted to go in on the drip broker, they could pull a John Wick and make it like, what's it called, the Continental?
Yes.
Where it's just
Yeah.
like no
Yep.
kill rule. Like Fisk
Yep.
comes to pick up his suit.
It's
And
neutral.
Matt walks in. Matt walks in and is just like, Fisk, Matt. He's just like, no fighting. No fucking fighting.
Yeah.
Well, this
I'll
would be
never
the
make a
show
suit
for
again.
that, where it's like you were saying, you hope that we sort of see someone going to them and discussing about the suit.
Right.
This would be that show where it's like she comes in to pick up something or has to get her suit like fixed or something, and it's just like, yo, why are you here?
That is true, but I will go back to what Mike was saying a few weeks ago. It doesn't always have to be that connected, but for a show that's supposed to be Easter egg driven and cameo driven and super funny, that would be hilarious.
Yeah.
If you see Matt walking out as Kingpin's walking in and like he just senses him like, is this motherfucker?
God,
Kingpin? It's like,
Yeah.
Matt? It's like, the fuck are you doing here? Same thing you're doing here. It's like, all right, well, I'm going to find out what's in your suit so I can
Last
beat the
fight
shit
was
out
rough,
of
you know. You see what happened
Bro,
last
you
fight.
broke my mask. I had to go get some new shit, man. It's like, goddamn. But what I do think it showcases is, which is really interesting, Didge, and I'll let everybody speak to this. What's really interesting is we are not made to believe that Matt is taking on high-end clients, right? Again, we don't know. We can assume maybe it's different, but that's never been Matt. right? Where he's making millions of dollars taking on high-end clients, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of means Daredevil is a very known name in the
Yeah.
MCU.
I
That
was
he
gonna say
uses
I don't think
notoriety.
it's definitely
Right.
not just money for
Right.
him. It's
Yeah.
it's definitely
You got to
little-
think there's
It's status.
so much we don't know about Daredevil from when we last saw him in season 3 to No Way Home.
Right.
Like and even Charlie Cox himself said there's such a big gap. It wouldn't make sense for his new show to pick up right where season
Yeah.
left off. It's a whole new world for him. It's for us, 4 years in MCU continuity, closer to 10 because of the blip.
Right. Yeah. Oh God, I keep
Yeah.
forgetting that. I hate that.
Oh yeah, Daredevil could have
It's been a
he
long
could have been
time.
moving.
So I think he definitely went there. Just like, hey, you ever hear of this, superhero in Hell's Kitchen? It's like, oh yeah, I heard a little bit about that. That's me, motherfucker. And it's like, but I would like to see the Drip Broker utilized a lot. Like when we get a Luke Cage show, I want him to make Luke Cage a bulletproof yellow shirt. You know what I'm saying? Like I want more shit like that because this is a very big thing for me. Somebody who makes suits for the enhanced, good or bad.
Mm-hmm.
That is so fucking dope. It really truly is. Now what's gonna be interesting is if the DOD finds out about him and maybe tries to sit on the shop to see what heroes or villains comes in and out and try to catch him that way.
You know they would. You know
100%.
easily that they would.
100%. So I want to ask, Dij, I'll start with you because you were finishing up. So you can finish up if you had anything else. But my question
that was pretty much it. So
okay.
yeah,
So my question to you is this a character that you're like, okay, cool, it was fun. If I never see him again, cool. Or do you want to see them? And again, I'm not saying make him a main character,
right?
But just seeing him pop up and like maybe he makes a Fantastic Four suit. Even though I kind of prefer for Reed to make them, but you know what I'm trying to say. Like, just
even
see
if
him
it's just
utilize
something where he like, I would like to see him more utilized. But for your reference about the Fantastic Four, even if it is Reed making the suit, but he's like, I don't, I'm trying to figure this out. He hears about it. He goes for like sort of reference or whatever. It's like it doesn't necessarily like you said, it doesn't have to be a main character or anything. But having that person who he's already established in making super suits, essentially,
right?
People can talk to him, or even if they're like, oh, did you get that from the Drip Broker or whatever, blah blah blah. Like he should definitely be referenced.
Right. I 100% agree. And Blake, as I pass it to you, one of my biggest questions is what is his status amongst the MCU? Because for him to get the materials needed for certain things, like when he was saying he needed to make a superhero suit for She-Hulk, and they were essentially saying you needed a fabric that can expand.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that we expected Tony to make or Bruce to make for the Hulk.
And he didn't blink. He just said,
right,
hey,
and he was just like,
get
go
me the
get
stretchy stuff.
Right, and I'm like, who are you and how do you have access to these things? So Blake, how big of a player do you think the Drip Broker truly is?
My guess is that he has connections, but since he also makes suits for villains, I would assume his connection isn't like a Mr. Fantastic or a Captain America, who would shut that down.
Right.
It has to be someone that either makes it or has access to give him all of this fabric and equipment to make suits for whoever, and whether it's someone like, just pay me for all this stuff and I don't care what you do with it, or he's just like, now don't go giving Kingpin this crazy armor because I'm going to try to take him down someday.
Right.
Like I don't imagine it being a hero, but I would imagine it's a God, it's got to be some rich name in the Marvel universe, and I would go with
go ahead, Blake. I'm sorry.
I would either go with a morally gray character or a straight up evil businessman. Mm-hmm. Which, if we're in the era of Kang, there is an evil businessman, Kang, Mr. Griffin or Mr. Griffin, however you want to pronounce it, and that's kind of his thing, is dealing out to lower level scumbags to take out the heroes street level. So
yeah,
it's wishful thinking, but it's got to be someone like that.
I mean, or Trayvon, as I pass it to you, in DC we have a Green Lantern Corps, right? In the MCU, we could have a Broker Corps. Maybe Sharon Carter has something to do with the Drip Broker, right? Maybe they
Yeah.
were just like, hey, this broker name is pretty fucking dope, right? I broker power. You broker drip. And they're like, I like that. Yeah, let's go with that. Let's go with that. Because Sharon Carter would be the person that can get him in touch with people that know
Yeah.
people.
Sure.
That know
She's definitely
people.
morally gray now.
Well,
She's
even more
also
connected
morally
now.
gray.
I want her
Yes,
to be.
exactly.
I really think she's a Skrull. Like, if not,
Nah,
that's
she
just.
can't be at this point. She can't be.
No,
I keep telling
she
you,
still
Blake.
Could be. She
No,
still could be.
here's why she can't.
It's
Well,
possible.
if she is, it would literally completely make what that finale was make absolutely no sense. She used facial swapping technology.
That
Why
is
would
true.
she do that if she
That
could
is
just
true.
shapeshift into somebody else and then shapeshift back? Because I know people are like,
Mm.
well, she's not going to
She
shapeshift in
wouldn't
front
want
of
to show
somebody.
Sam.
She wouldn't want to show
But
Sam
here's the
that.
thing.
Yeah.
Time out. She didn't do that in front of Sam. She did that off to the side where she took it off. She didn't do
I
it in
thought
front of
she-
him. No, she didn't do it in front of him.
Wow.
She didn't do it in front of him. But again, to use that technology when you're a Skrull, you could have written it to where she went off to the side to shapeshift into something else.
Yeah.
And then shapeshift
You-
back.
you
But they
could've.
didn't want to tell us that yet.
No. Hear me, Trayvon. I'm just saying you went out of your way to showcase
Or-
that she could swap her face through technology. Where you could have just said
True.
she used stealth, she snuck in there. You went out of your way to showcase that. And to me, if you went out of your way to showcase that, and now you want to make her a Skrull, are we that invested now as we would have been if you ended that season with her being a Skrull?
I feel like Marvel can get away with saying she used that because it's Shield tech, could have same thing Black Widow used or whatever, and
Yeah.
then later, because they thought about it after the fact, then now we're gonna make her a Skrull. There'll be something
I'm
they
just
do,
saying,
and we wouldn't know anything. They'll just be like, she was Skrull the whole time. But
I
they
would be
probably
very
think of that shit after the
interested.
show was over.
I would be very interested to see how you showcase the emotion of that, because I'm not seeing how it makes sense. The way you ended Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I kept saying if she went off to the side, like into an alley, took that phone call, and then when she hung up, her face revealed to be a Skrull, that would have had a massive impact. Now you do it, it's kind of just like,
Not in public.
Again, I gotta wait to see.
Right in
no.
front of the-
I said
You
going
know?
off. No, I said go off into an alley.
Oh.
Yeah, go off into an alley. But now if you do it, it's kind of just like, well,
Also,
is this kind of like revisionist to where you're like, we fucked up here, so we're trying to make it right here? I
wasn't
would just have to
Falcon
see
Winter
how they
Soldier
do
supposed
it.
to be supposed to be the first show as well. Wasn't it
Yes.
supposed to-
hmm
That's the excuse as well. They had to move it around. That show's supposed to be first.
I'm open to
So,
it. It just really
you
has to
know.
hit because it's already a character I don't give two shits about. So
I
I'm
love
like,
her.
I,
So,
I
I
hate
love
it
her.
because I don't believe that she would do that. Like, I don't think the writing
that's what I
is good
said.
enough to give me like I rewatch Winter Soldier, so it pisses me off even more that she like, you're right, Captain's orders. Like, she was like, I'm good, I believe in Captain America's cause, I don't believe he could do this, I'm good, I have his back.
Right.
And then for her to go like, well, because of Captain America, like my life kind of went to shit because of Civil War. I'm like, no.
She did break the rules in Civil War, though.
Yeah.
No,
Let's
she
forget
did,
that.
but okay. So I'll
She
say
did
this,
break the
Trayvon, because
rules.
I know you always say this, Trayvon, to where it's like, yes, everybody got fucked over, but everybody's got their reputation back. She didn't. I get it, but my only issue is, it kind of seems like you went far this way, like all the way this way, and it's like I kind of would have liked to have seen maybe a gradual rise into becoming the power broker. But for our last time to see her, she was morally intact. And then the very next time we see her, not over the course of the next
She's
time,
the villain of
she's essentially
See,
morally
I don't
corrupt.
see her- I don't see her being that evil to be.
She's
Like,
gonna
it's like
kill a kid.
she used whatever she got. Like, look,
And she
I-
would have
I
killed
would say
Sam if he knew that she was the power broker.
I don't believe
Like,
it.
I strongly believe she would have been, ooh.
Yeah,
Don't do
I don't
that.
see. Didge, I'm curious. What did you feel from Sharon Carter? Like she went morally corrupt, or you thought she was still on the verge to she could go back to the
She
light?
still helped. Shit.
Well, she
I
only
think- I
helped
think
to
she's-
further get them away from her trail.
I say
Okay.
morally gray.
Okay.
I don't think that she would ever go back fully to the light,
Mhm.
but I don't think that she's like evil. I think she's just like, you know what? I can't trust anybody. It's for me now. It's not for the greater good. But I'm also not gonna just go out here and just start trying to plot to take over the world or nothing. It's what's in my best interest now.
Well, I tell you what, we'll find out soon because taking on the name Power Broker definitely sounds like some morally corrupt shit.
And who
like,
who do we think she called? Kingpin?
I don't know. Like Joel was saying, that might be too
know.
small. That might be too small.
Doom?
Because Kingpin is supposed to be regulated to just New York, right?
Dr. Doom, perhaps?
I don't know if it... Because if you're Doom, how interested are you on anything not Latveria?
And if he is, he'll just take it.
He would just kill her and take it. Yeah, that would... I always put out there, because to me it makes the most sense. It's the character that just fucking fits. And at this point, I know I'm just trying to force a narrative. I get it. Norman Osborn just makes so much fucking sense.
You're right. I don't see it going
Like,
that way, but you're right.
It just makes so much sense.
It would just suck if that's the introduction. Just I don't know.
Wait,
I feel like
Norman Osborn?
I feel like you should have. I feel like you got to introduce some differently. Yeah, if it was just Norman Osborn.
Well, again, remember, I don't view Norman Osborn in the MCU as just a Spider-Man villain. I'm talking about a Norman Osborn at some point that could create the Dark Avengers, becoming essentially like your Stark replacement, but for a morally corrupt version, rather than like, I'm here to actually be a protector and save the world.
Right.
You know, so that's how I view Norman.
Because if we see him in the MCU, he wouldn't be Goblin right away.
I don't think he necessarily has to be Goblin for a while.
If
you know
ever, they could do Harry instead.
I kind of feel like he needs to be the Goblin at some point, because if you're bringing in Miles to where at some point you're going to phase Miles fully in, slowly phase Peter out, I could say Norman could be Miles' Goblin, right? To where he does fight Peter and Miles, but it essentially is that Miles and Norman Osborn essentially rivalry, because we just saw Tom Holland's Peter have a Norman Osborn rivalry, and it was pretty intense. So now it's kind of just like, do you want to double down on that so soon? You know what I'm saying? We just kind of got it. So that's why I said I'd prefer for Norman to show up in Armor Wars, to being a threat, right? To taking over that power vacuum of Stark.
If he got the Iron
and
Patriot armor
like that
and fought War Machine.
That's what I'm saying. You could get shit like that. That's why I'm saying Power Broker reporting to Norman would make all the sense in the world to me. But I understand that it only makes sense to me because it's a narrative I'm trying to force. So let me just be very clear there.
It makes
I understand that.
That's how he is in the comics. For a while, he's like, fuck Green Goblin. I can do so much more than just harass this.
It's just Norman Osborn. Right. It's just Norman Osborn. I could do a whole bunch of damage. So Joel, while you were gone, we were essentially saying the Drip Broker. And Trayvon, I'm going to go back to you. I just wanted to clue Joel in so he didn't think we went way off course. We were saying the Drip Broker looks like he has a lot of access to a lot of shit. Like when she came in, he just asked for the stretchy shit. Like he just had it on standby. Like he maybe made some shit for Bruce at some point. Or maybe Abomination at some point. Like he just seems like he has access. So we were trying to theorize who we think maybe he got that access from that we already know that exists in the MCU. So like the Kingpin was brought up. I was saying, you know how in DC we have the Green Lantern Corps? Maybe in the MCU we have the Broker Corps. Maybe the Power Broker is working with the Drip Broker. It's just like
that's quite possible. But I wouldn't call it a lantern, like compared to a lantern.
You wouldn't call it the
no.
The Broker Corps? Is that the Broker Corps?
No, but I could definitely see the Drip Broker taking his name from the Power Broker. So like
for sure.
If it is Sharon, I could see that being how he got access through her. Because that's because she deals in the black market, so it works. It makes sense.
Right.
And that's kind of where she's in now. She's in that gray area. It's weird because I'm so used to her as a good person, and I get it. She's selfish now. Like she looks at her.
Well, that's what we were just saying, Joel. So like Trayvon and Didge were saying, like they understand that she's just morally in the gray. Me and Blake were saying our biggest issue is only the fact that the last time we saw her, she was morally good. And then the very next time we saw her, she was completely morally corrupt.
It's an unbelievable jump.
Not really, because a lot of shit went down between those.
It did, but we didn't experience
that's the problem. We didn't experience it. So she's just saying I went through that shit. And it's like, if we could see it, Didge, we could go, damn, she tried to stay on the good side, but everybody kept fucking her over. We more so just have to take her word.
Forgot about her. And
I think it's more so
defend for herself, basically.
Right, exactly. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Didge. I'm sorry.
No, I was gonna say, just for me, I guess it seemed because we saw sort of what other people went through during that time who made similar choices. Like we saw what happened with Cap and all of them.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then we saw that they got like Joel just said, she was forgotten.
Yeah.
So we saw that because they were able to make better choices, they were brought back to the light is a good way to put it or whatever. But they legit forgot about her. So all the bad stuff that they went through, we can assume that she probably went through similar, and then she was forgotten. I get
also,
it.
I'm
At
pretty
that
sure
point,
they said she committed treason as well.
Well,
Yeah,
so
well, she was running from the government, and
yeah,
then
so
she's hiding out in.
I mean,
Right. So we're saying what we're saying is
She's
that
any
the
connection
way
to
they set up her character, it just seemed like she would try harder to try to bring, glory back to her name. And instead, it just seems like she just fit right in with the, fuck it, I'll just go here. It was just like, well, I mean, okay,
now
I guess.
she's back in and now has more access to more
Maybe-
shit.
maybe
Right.
she tried and then her friends that she needed or were too busy, saving the
and
world.
Well, that's
Or
my
the
point,
universe.
Trayvon. That's my point. You're asking me to connect invisible dots. Those are assumptions you're saying. And
Look,
all I'm saying is for a character to take
To me,
that
it's pretty
leap,
clear. I know.
I would have liked to have seen a little bit more. Especially if you're going to put her as a focus in that show. She should have had a little bit of an episode dedicated to how she built that empire, what went into building that empire. Was there an original power broker that she killed to take the title from? Right.
Yeah.
I and again, they could be setting it up down the line.
Yeah,
I'm not saying it like it'll never
that
happen.
her story is done.
No, of course not. I think we might even see her in things like Joel. We assumed that the sister in
New World
Shang-Chi,
Order.
she would New World
Ten
Order for
Rings.
sure. But we believe that there'd be a Ten Rings show.
Yeah.
100% Sharon Carter's going to interact with her. That's a massive corporation, the Ten Rings Army, right? So I believe Sharon will be sprinkled all throughout the MCU. But my problem is that if you give me her backstory later, am I as interested as I would have been if you had given it to me when she first reappeared? And then you gave her this massive role that you did. That's why we were saying, Joel,
He would have
before
been
you came
bad
back.
if they dedicated an episode
if-
to her.
No. Not dedicated an episode. Just gave some time in the episode to how she got to this point. Because I said it, Trayvon. I was curious because I know who the power broker should have been. I know who the power broker could have been.
Right.
And it ended up being her. I needed a better reason as to why
Yeah.
you made this
You
decision. for
have
Sharon
took a
Carter.
character that was supposed to kind of maybe be not an Avenger, but at least help side by side with
Right.
helping out.
Like a liaison for the
she
Avengers.
was.
essentially.
She was
No.
helping
No,
until she
was
broke the
helping.
rules.
No,
and
no.
she got
She was
kicked out of
helping.
the United States.
But the
Like-
problem is, she literally was supposed to be in some of those fights, and they cut her out of the movie.
Right.
So they cut scenes from her role. So they literally forgot her in real life, and so they're using it.
Right.
They're actually using it as her motivation in the show. Which is,
I guess I'd become a villain too.
yeah. You know what I mean? I was supposed to play a bigger. Like you see concept art, you see her in costume.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? With them in like different concept art shots, but that's kind of what I mean. Is that, and so they're kind of, let's use that and say that she helped them, and then they kind of forgot about her. And she's right. She's 100% right about that.
Mhm.
They left the fence for herself. She's basically says, "Fuck you. You guys forgot about me." Now they looked out for her at the end, and Sam got her in, and they kind of accepted her back into the government. But she probably still holding a grudge.
Yeah, I mean-
100%. But that's what I'm saying. I more so kind of want to see her internal journey. Like, was this something that she just naturally went to? Or did it take time for her to really kind of go, things will never be the same again. I have to just look out for me. Because again, what I'm trying to say is, Trayvon, I'm looking for reasons to give a shit about a character that it seemed like the MCU did not until that series. So leaving out all that good shit of story and then just going, she's a power broker. She's important now. And it's like,
You know what's good motivation?
like,
Being broke.
what?
Definitely.
It is.
Oh,
But
for sure.
we didn't see it.
But-
But again, she was on a government salary that I can guarantee you probably was not that lucrative.
But
So
if
it's like,
You got to think when they accused her of treason, though, even if she was on that government salary, that
Mhm.
all probably got frozen.
Oh,
She,
yeah.
has,
100%.
she has
For
none
sure.
of that.
For
She
sure.
was on the
For sure.
run. For
For
sure.
sure. For sure.
So she said, "What numbers of people do I know?" Did I?
But,
Right.
but see, that's what's interesting. Was it people she already knew, or was it people she got in touch with through becoming the power broker.
No,
All I'm trying to say is Trayvon.
That she's had.
But all I'm trying again, she wasn't that high in the government. She was essentially working with the CIA. She was like their essential point person. What I'm trying to say is her status is not higher than whatever you would have considered Maria Hill's status to be. That's what I'm trying to say.
She's not Maria Hill.
That's not what
That's what I'm trying to say.
I mean, no.
I'm sorry, Trayvon. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm not comparing it to Maria Hill. I'm just saying, but I'm pretty sure she got some connections. Like,
I'm sorry. I thought. Yeah. I'm sorry.
Well, she probably had to reach out to like some people that she knew, dirty people, to keep her.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, Trayvon, for a lot of people that were not okay with making her the power broker, all this story that we're talking about in the sense of a what if, I think would have put a lot of people on her side if we could have just seen a lot of these things we're trying to,
because they were trying to keep it a secret too, so they didn't want to give that all away either, because then it definitely would have been a given, even though it was a fucking given.
I was gonna say almost everybody on our MCR podcast except for me was like, yeah, the power broker Sharon. Like,
by the way,
a lot of that was
all the way back to whether or not she could be a Skrull.
Yeah.
With the veil, she did unveil it right in Bucky's face.
In Bucky's face?
She was veiled up, and then she was like, "Hey, are you supposed to be here?" And then when he turned around, she pulled it off and said, "It's me."
Okay. So you know what my response is to that, Didge? I apologize to you and Trayvon. My response to that is, at this point, you making her a power broker and trying to get us to care about her being a power broker only to say she was a Skrull. Don't worry about it. I will fucking forever hate that character.
Also,
if she's gonna be the power broker, just let her be the power broker and let me.
No point making her a Skrull.
Right. Let me live up to
also
that.
fair. I'm just.
Yeah,
I just. Up to that was the one thing I was like, I could have sworn she did it in someone's face.
No, you were right. That was my
it wouldn't have made sense otherwise.
Speculation while in this show. I'll walk away right now.
Well, guess what? Go ahead, please, I'm ready for you to be Skrull, whatever you want to be, girl.
No, Trayvon, to me. No. Don't get it wrong with what me and Joel are saying. Even Blake, I don't think any of us dislike the character. It's just, I think if you're going to make that big of a leap, you got to give us more of said character. And
we don't like what they did with the character.
Right. And I think the best way to tear this character completely down to where it's irredeemable is to say, hey, remember all that crazy shit we were trying to tell you? It makes sense that she's doing it. It was a Skrull. Don't worry about it. That's a quick way to make people go, no fucking way.
That's how I feel.
I agree with that. No, they should.
Yes, go ahead.
Joel hates Skrulls. I've learned that very much.
See how you see I could shit on anybody's background if you say, "Oh, I'm a Skrull." Oh, well, then everything I know about you doesn't make sense. Like, I don't like that.
No, I think they should explore more of her story it's because we know that it's not done. So you can still explore why she ended up making the choice that she made. That could be a New World Order because we're assuming she's going to have more of a story.
You could, but the biggest question comes from the reason why I thought Falcon and the Winter Soldier was the perfect place was I personally at the beginning did not give a fuck about that show. But it was a perfect way to introduce something like Sharon Carter becoming the power broker and exploring it because that show was ripe for just more of a better story, right? But to then put it
for that.
Well, again, there was a lot of that story that shouldn't have been in there that you could have given time. I'll give you a perfect example. You going back home for Sam to have this fucking home barbecue and shit that we had to sit through, you could have threw in the fucking garbage and gave me Power Broker. Like you just could have. That could have easily been pushed out. But for me in New World Order, it kind of seems like now Sam is in a position to where you're talking bigger things, right? You're talking now the leader. You're getting ready for Kang. I don't know how interested I am in the middle of New World Order for you to explore Sharon.
But we also don't know who she. We also know who
I
she's
just
called.
don't need you to explore it.
We still don't know that.
I would much rather you explore her power brokerisms, is what I'm going to call it, in Armor Wars.
Ew, don't call it that.
Because that sounds like, hey, if Peter Tingles can exist, power brokerisms can.
That shouldn't have existed. So.
But Armor Wars is the perfect place to explore her being a power broker.
It actually might. I forgot all about Armor Wars.
So to me, I'd much rather her pop up in there than for her to pop up in New World Order.
That actually might be where it shows up. I forgot all about Armor Wars that quickly though.
Yeah. What were you saying, Joel?
I want to see Hammer come back as well.
Oh yeah, I think we all do. I think that's universal. I think there's no living person that will accept
that would
not
be
seeing him.
such a.
You'll never meet someone that doesn't want more Sam Rockwell.
Yeah,
I don't think it
exactly
exists.
right.
I don't think it
If you
exists.
needed a darker version, not a dark version, but like a counterpart.
They're like, wait, black? Joel's like, no, that's not what I meant. Hold on.
No, what I meant to say is he's kind of like a Tony Stark-esque character.
Yes.
And there's now a void, and he can feel like an evil version or just a bad version of him.
If you don't do Norman Osborn, yeah, it could go to Justin.
Right.
Dark before he became Iron Man.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Post Iron. I mean,
and I want to just the main reason why I want to see more Justin Hammer is because I believe he could be
Tony's death.
He could be well, yeah, he was crip walking on Tony's grave. You know that for sure.
That was
you know that.
one of the funniest scenes.
You know that dance he did when he came on the stage. You know he did that on Stark's grave day one. But what he can fill a void of really is the balance between the light and the dark, because he can get really ruthless. But he is naturally a silly character. That's what Iron Man 2 created him to be. Is a silly character that you don't really take seriously. So I would like to see the evolution of what prison did to him, right? Like, is he more serious, or is he doubling down on, I don't give a fuck, I'm rich. I'm rich, I'm
Hopefully
handsome, who gives a fuck, right? Like, I would like to see that attitude explode.
That's what I expected him to be in Thunderbolts too, which is sad. But we'll see, I guess. I mean, it's still early.
We don't have enough time to get into Thunderbolts right now.
Yeah, for sure.
There's not enough time in the night.
I will say this, Blake, because we're gonna wrap up. If next week's episode does give us a better idea on who maybe is behind the Wrecking Crew, we can go on to Thunderbolts, because it could be someone like Zemo.
Yeah, it could be.
Could be.
Zemo has more power than I think
we give him credit for.
Yeah.
Which is why I said making Sharon the power broker in a show where it seems like Zemo is the perfect power broker was so frustrating. Like, he's right here.
Every project,
right here.
They seem to be like, Zemo who?
100. Blake, I will tell you, I've never seen more disrespect in the MCU than introducing Zemo, right? Having him put on the mask and having that mask look fucking beautiful. And then shoots a rocket and then goes, all right, enough of that.
Never
I'm
again.
sorry, what? Like,
it was a hot mask. He probably was breathing all in. He was like, too much.
I hated that shit so much.
They did it that was pure, like, if anything was fan service, it was bad.
That doesn't count as fan service.
Trayvon,
that is the equivalent.
I'm saying they showed it to you just for that. That's only
if that's fan service, that's the equivalent of the first time we see Wolverine. He extends his claws just to show them, and then never uses them again for the rest of that movie.
I mean,
that's just like, what the fuck was the purpose?
They gave us
Wolverine wearing a Wolverine mask and only wearing it for one scene, and never did
They gave us John Krasinski and then shredded him like within 5 minutes.
Well,
so it's like
well, again,
not the fan service.
No,
they
time
give
out.
it to us,
The
they take it
difference,
away.
but time out. The difference there is that was a multiverse. Anything they showed you was meant to just purely only be fan service.
For that time.
But you showing the mask, because here's the thing. He didn't have a mask at all in Civil War. Yeah. So for a lot of us, we went, were they going to work their way to the mask or just do no mask? So once you did the mask, it's not a fan service. It's a part of the character.
It's like if Doctor Doom shows up with the green hood and the cape and everything, puts on that faceplate, just wipes everybody, takes it off, and never has
done.
Right. It's just like
it's, in the comics, it's fused to his face. The mask is literally.
They're gonna show Doom. He's gonna put on the mask, look himself in the mirror, and be like, "I don't like it. Take it off."
Well, you know what?
It depends on who's the actor.
You know what? You know what? We could even go a step further. To me, I've always viewed fan service, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong. I view fan service as something like if Wolverine says "bub." It's something I don't need, but if he does it, it's clearly for people that know that Wolverine says "bub," right? Clearly, right? I'm saying to me, if I got the Logan movie and he never said "bub," that doesn't take away from the fact that that's a phenomenal movie. That's what I'm trying to say. So, like, really?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for me, no. Him saying "bub" to me is ultimately.
If you don't know the character, then I understand it. But if you know Wolverine, that means a little bit, yeah.
But to me, Zemo wearing a mask is part of that character.
It's part of his look. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, because in the comics, he can't even take it off.
If you could live without Wolverine in a mask for the longest time, then I could live without Zemo in it. But they did give us the mask for a small time, and I don't think it'll be the last time we see him in it.
I just believe whoever takes Zemo next, I only want to see him in that fucking mask. Like, at this point, I want you to burn him. That's what I'm saying. I want you to do that. At this point, just to make sure no one else can take it off when they use him again. Right? Because it seems to be a pass-off. I'll use it. I don't. I use it. I don't.
If I was the writer-director, I would fuse that thing to his face and be like, good luck, whoever takes him next.
100%. 100%. I don't need to see your face. Fuck your face. But all right. That's all we got for episode 5 of She-Hulk. We had a blast with this. Seeing that Daredevil mask in that. By the way, the fact that Miss Marvel, when they said the word mutant or mutation, whatever they said, the fact that got the theme song, but we couldn't get a Daredevil theme song for showcasing that helmet, how fucking dare you, writers? How dare you? A golden opportunity.
I hope we get
golden. Goodness, you know Netflix is sitting somewhere like, I fucking wish you would. Go ahead and play it. Sue the fuck out of you.
They have the show on Disney Plus.
They do have the show.
They do, but I wonder
for the sake of the joke, that was hilarious.
That was right. Especially like, you got Jen to defend Marvel. No, but I just thought that was a perfect chance.
Is the music in the show on Netflix? I mean, on Disney Plus?
Yeah, it's a theme song.
The show.
Yeah, it's a theme song.
They didn't alter the show at all.
Oh, okay, okay. Because sometimes they'll change the shit.
If Netflix wanted to be petty, yeah, it would have. Hey, you can have the show back, all the characters, the rights, everything, not the theme song. That's ours. We keep that. You can't have that. But no, I'm just really glad that we saw the helmet, right? And I just love how nonchalant he was. Like, hey, fuck, just left this unattended. Like, we got a reputation here. Come on now, what are we doing? I love that so much. And Joel, we were talking about it before. I won't say it on air, but did you hear about the scene that was shown at D23? For She-Hulk?
No.
Okay, I'll tell you about it when we get off here. I don't want to spoil it for anyone that goes in and listens to this later.
Speaking of that, I'm glad they didn't release it because I wouldn't want to see that before this
actually
episode.
See it. Yeah. I'm with you there.
It's just like, come on, we're almost there.
We're almost there. Like,
it's
we're
not
right
even
there.
a trailer. It's an actual scene.
It's an actual scene, right? But all right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in to an all-new episode of Marvel Cinematic Review. I want to thank Trayvon, Didge, Joel, and Blake. I cannot wait for Didge's reaction to when he sees Double D show up on his TV screen. All right, looking beautiful in yellow and red. Now, when someone hears this out of context, they're like, whoa, what is he talking about? It is Daredevil. You nasty perverts. It is Daredevil. Yo, go ahead, Didge. Go ahead.
That's just an awkward sentence.
I'm sorry. I said it. It came out of my mouth. I said it. All right. Last thing, guys, and I promise you we're getting out of here. What are the chances that this series gives us the logo on his chest? Joel, I'll start with you. What are the chances that this show? Not likely? Okay. Blake?
No.
Okay. Didge?
No.
Trayvon?
I honestly did not hear the question.
What are the chances that they'll put the Daredevil logo on Daredevil's suit for She-Hulk?
No.
No? Okay. I like it. I'm going to say yes to be different. And oh man, the vindication if that shit shows up next week.
You will be impossible if that happens.
Woo!
Can I say
yes, I will.
That Kevin Feige already said that they're waiting for his own show for the Double Ds?
Oh, they did. Oh, they did. Why didn't you even let me finish the question? What the fuck, Joel?
I wanted him to have the hope.
I'd rather I'd break his soul now, so he didn't.
No, it's okay. It's all right. I didn't need it here.
To be fair, they are marketing Born Again with that logo.
Double Ds,
right.
Yeah. So, which I said, even the Netflix shows never really had the Double Ds, so it's like
never did. This
will be the first.
Yeah, they didn't appreciate Double Ds in that show. I didn't see any Double Ds there in that show.
No logo. No logo. It sucked.
Yeah, I meant the logo too. Yeah, logo too. All right, guys.
Well, the yellow red is actually, I think it was a single D. Am I wrong? It's a big single D for the yellow and red. Was it not?
Yeah.
It might be. Oh no! You mean on the actual comic book design?
Yeah.
It was. It was one big D. Yeah,
one big D. Yeah.
One,
he
One
didn't
big D
get
as
his.
opposed to 2 double Ds. Did you hear
Right.
that?
You hear that? You hear that, Didge? We could get one
One
big D.
is better. Yes. It's
Yeah,
better.
yeah.
Oh.
We might get one big D
He's like
next
just
week.
one
Yeah.
big D.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
back
Yeah.
in middle school.
And you'll have to take it. All right. All right. Before we get flagged
We're
here.
professionals.
Thank you guys
We
so
promise.
much. Thank you guys so much. Until next time. Peace.
One big D.
Oh, God.